So, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Please take your seats.
If you haven't quite finished your wee, then we'll wait. You finished? Good, thank you, madam. That's lovely. Okay.
So, Andrea, I've got a question.
Oh, yeah? What is that, Ruth?
If you're Yorkshire when you go into Bog, and you're Yorkshire when you come out of Bog,
Yeah.
what are you when you're in Bog?
Oh, don't know.
European.
Unless you're Brexiting. Okay, so we have now got, thank you for that interesting joke, Ruth. There we go. So now we have a very special panel of business experts who are here today because they've all got very old, weathered hats. Oh, well, there's one less on the panel.
Some of them are giving way already.
Direct hits, there we go. Someone's colostomy bag on. So anyway, well-weathered hats. They've been in business for over 10 years, and there's a billionaire, a millionaire, and a quadrilaterillionaire.
There we go. Impressive.
Which you'd think, actually, with all that money and knowledge in the room, then they would be able to afford new hats. But, you know, what do I know?
There we go. But, you know, I've got another question. Is there a collective noun for a group of hat wearers?
Oh, okay. A bowler, a brimful of hats,
Well, we've got this knowledgeable panel coming up, so I'm sure they'll be able to tell us.
Yes. A flat of caps.
So, without further ado...
A top of hats?
Yeah, it could be that,
okay,
could be that.
Now,
listen.
about that.
Without further ado, here's Martin to introduce his hatty panel.
Thank you, Ruth and Andrea. Okay, so it's with my great pleasure that I'm asking to the stage John Oddie. You've got a handheld here. Yeah, you're more than welcome to pick a hat if you need. The hard hat might be useful. So as you guys are aware, John Oddie is my accountant, has been my accountant for 10 years or more, in fact. Just if you wish. Yeah, more than welcome to. I'll be sitting in a minute. What you guys probably aren't aware is John is probably the second most well-read person in the whole of Yorkshire after myself. And he's a person whose library, basically, he lent me right at the beginning of my journey. So I know that he knows the answer to nearly any question I ever need to ask. So he's currently nervous, wondering what kind of a question I'm going to ask him next. I'd also like to welcome to the stage Simon Hudson, who, alongside working with me in IOCO for many years and also being my first customer, would you say number one customer? Why am I chasing balls around the stage? Anyway. Thank you, good to see you again. So Simon also has run his business for, are you on mute? Has run his business for over 10 years now, which is Cloud2, and taken it to some quite amazing places. They've done some fabulous work, I've done some fabulous work with them, and it's always been a pleasure to do that. Before that, you had a life with IOCO in healthcare, and before that in GSK, and before that...
Smith Nephew, actually.
Smith and Nephew, sorry, wrong one. And also enjoys a good playing the guitar, which means you and John have a lot in common, really.
Oh, we can get to that part.
Which is fair enough. I'd also like to welcome to the stage Gerald Chapman. So Gerald Chapman runs a business called Find Your Why, the Wise Foundation. And she's been my speaking coach and helping me with a whole host of different things in business. And has forgotten to pick up the mic.
Oh,
Let me go get it for you. There you go, one mic.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So that's the panellists for this evening. So, first question. Obviously, 10 years is quite an amazing amount of time. And I know all you guys have worked in businesses that have been more than 10 years old, or actually have businesses that are 10 years old. In fact, you've got businesses that are probably well beyond 10 years old. So, My first question to you, if you were going to give somebody one piece of advice on making it to 10 years, what would it be? You go for it, John.
One piece of advice. I would say there's a phrase that I learned many years ago from a coach about operating either above or below the line. And above the line is accountability, responsibility, honesty, hard work, can-do attitude. And below the line is blame, denial, excuses. So my number one tip for being a success over the long term is always operate above the line. Always have that energy, passion, focus, and it's whatever happens in business, it's always your fault if something goes wrong. It's never anybody else's fault. So take that tip. Always be above the line. That's my number one tip.
Fabulous. And is there anything that you can help to keep people above the line? What kind of things have you found that helps you to keep above
For
the line?
me, as you said, I read a business book a month, at least. A lot of them are rubbish, but there's some real gems there. I think that being self-aware keeps you above the line. Being very self-aware, looking down at yourself and thinking, how is my behaviour impacting other people? And if you're self-aware, then you'll recognise the good and bad behaviour.
Excellent. No, thank you for that. And Simon, would you like to go next?
Right, let's see if my microphone's on. You can hear me? That's good. Okay, so I'm going to take a slightly different tack on this. I think it's about belief. It could be about stupidity, and you'll see why it could be one of these two. So I think that nobody else in your business is going to believe as hard as you believe, and I think that's essential. I think you've got to either have so much confidence and self-belief, or so little insight that you don't know when you're doing something which is actually bonkers. Either way, it doesn't matter, because you've got enough belief. That's what carries you forward. Nobody else is going to believe in you the way that you can believe in yourself. And I think that's what carries you through the hard times, makes you take that stupid bloody idea, the one that people said you shouldn't do this, and you shouldn't do it now because the economy is in tatters and you haven't got any people around you, and you go, stuff it, I'm going to do it anyway, because it's a damn good thing that I'm going to do. That's what I think you should do.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're kind of in those moments where actually your belief is being tested, what kind of things do you do to kind of keep that momentum and that energy and that kind of that upbeatness that you always have?
Well, sometimes you've got to lie to yourself.
Okay.
Sometimes you have. You've got to, you've got to, put aside all the rubbish and tell yourself that actually that isn't a problem. And maybe it's a lie, because ultimately, your lies become your future truth. So there's a thing about spinning it around, but also about going back and looking at all the things that you've made happen that are right. Yes, we all have shitty days, and yes, we have some difficult challenges. And if we work hard and keep it above the line, we can get across those. But ultimately, you've got to remind yourself that you're doing good stuff. You better be doing some good stuff. Otherwise, you probably shouldn't be in business. But if you're doing good stuff, remind yourself about all the successes. Not dwell on the things that are hard or the things that you've tripped up over.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of two kind of key quotes. One is from Richard Branson when he says, "Fake it till you make it."
Okay.
I think that kind of attitude of you keep pushing through, even though you might not necessarily always believe all the time, I think is a critical one. I've seen that on so many occasions. And the other ones around like success begets success. And I think we get so used to, and so many people do, get so used to the fact of seeing all the negative things that they do, all the things they do wrong, that they forget actually to celebrate sometimes even the small successes, those little wins that you have every day, those things that can really make you feel alive. And if you find one good thing every day, for me, it just makes you feel better, rather than it's like waking up every morning and thinking, oh crap, it's another day to go to work. And kind of this makes a big difference.
Totally.
What about yourself, Cheryl?
I'm sitting here feeling slightly imposter syndrome because I haven't had a business for 10 years, although I have been my business for 10 years, because it did start with Ann Summers. who's a very good friend of mine. And so Cheryl Chapman's been in business, if that makes sense, but the fact Joe White's not been in business for 10 years. But I think it's the same principle from when I first started doing that back in the day. It puts a smile on everyone's face anyway, doesn't it? Is about the customers for me. You know, just remember who you're doing it for and why you're doing it for them. And it's usually probably, I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but because you probably had some, you know, shit in the back past that was because of, you know, that's maybe why you do it or you experienced that. And it's not about looking at all the downside, it's just how you can help somebody else. And I would say you also have to make some really tough decisions sometimes.
That's true.
For the greater good, if you like. Because I think you have to. You're at the helm of the ship, and you can keep going. I'm going to be really stubborn, and I'm just going to keep going that way. But for me, it really is about keep your customer in mind. Remember why you started, what you did, and if you have to make some tough decisions along the way, I love the fact that you say, you know, it's your fault if you hit the iceberg. Yeah, that's for me.
So when you're kind of making some of those tough decisions, obviously it can be quite a lonely place. So do you have people that you turn to be able to help you making those decisions? Or certainly people you can bounce those ideas off?
Yeah, I've got a unicorn at the back of the room who you would never ever think that you would even. Yes. So find people who challenge you, definitely, who are very in keeping with your brand. Yeah, I do. I speak to Marion, who just gives me the completely Marion world version of what might be going on. I speak to Gemma, who's my sister, who actually keeps me, she's quite sensible, really. Like, she'll like, why are you doing that? In that kind of like, why would you even do that, Gemma? And actually, my nephew, Leon, who's in the audience now, he asked me a question the other day. I waffled on for 10 minutes, and then he went, you haven't even answered the question. I thought, oh no, I've got two people who are really grounded now. And as you know, because we're in the same group, we're in a group, a mastermind group called JFDI. I'll let you work that one out yourself. Just surround yourself with people who will be really honest with you. That's the main thing, I think, really, because there's enough people who can blow smoke up your own whatever. But yeah, I'm mindful there's children around. Have you noticed? I've not sworn yet, guys. Everyone's really nervous. I mean, Leon's all right, but yeah, but just people who tell you the truth.
Brilliant, absolutely. And again, I think for me, I tend to turn to a lot of different people depending on what kind of advice I've got. And as for example, for John, when I come to set up businesses or have any kind of queries, I'll turn to John. If I've got any queries about sort of tax advice or anything I should do for regulatory compliance, I'll turn to a business partner, Mark, and they've been really good. And like we've talked many times with regards to the JFDI group. But one thing I'd ask yourself, John, where would you turn when it comes down to you needing advice? Because obviously you're very well-read, well-grounded.
For my advice that I go to, obviously I've got a professional team around me inside the business and outside for technical advice. But if I'm ever lacking in confidence to make a decision, I've got some uncertainty, then I've got a couple of people I can go to. I've got a guy called Richard Hayter, who's an accountant from Leeds, and he's a wise old head. And I often speak to him about things. My wife's very good at giving because she knows me well. So I sometimes tell her what's happened at work. Well, come home and rant, as you do from time to time. I've got, I think that one thing I would say though is, what I've learned to my peril is take that advice, but make a decision. Making a bad decision is better than not making one. And for me, go with your gut feeling as well. I've gone against that a number of times throughout my life, and it's always burnt me badly. So you know that feeling when you're making a decision, and it may be other people may be saying don't do it, even if they're your mentors. I found in those situations where I've gone against the grain, I said I'm going to do it anyway, that it's worked out to be a success for me.
Yeah.
When you speak to people like that, often, once you've shared the problem, you work out for yourself anyway, halfway through telling them what the problem is. Actually, forget it, I know what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. So you just need someone that's going to be good at listening, and has got some good experience as well, and going to be honest with you, and knows you as well.
Yeah. And I think that kind of sharing attitude of being able to have somebody that you can talk problems through with, in some respects, for me, I find it even helps you pull your own thoughts together so you can come to your own conclusions. And I like that kind of way of working, which is why I like to sort of share with so many people, but still yet make my own decision at the end of it. And yeah, if you guys get a moment to hear some of the fabulous war stories from John, it's definitely worthwhile. He's got some belters, absolutely fabulous stories that will keep you laughing for hours on end. Some of them quite catastrophic in places, but all of them highly amusing. Yeah. So, if it's meant to yourself, Simon, because obviously, would you mind if I share a little bit of news with everybody?
Please.
So Simon's actually got to the point now where he's exiting his company, which happened this year, which is absolutely fantastic. His business partner is taking the company over and moving in a different direction, which means Simon's got a new lease on life, effectively. Which also gives us the opportunity of asking one of those key questions that we're always told to do, which is start with the end in mind, and how you're going to exit, and what life is after the exit. So obviously we're already starting that kind of process, but what's it looking like for you already? What have you got planned?
Oh, so yeah, I ought to have a complete sheet about this, but of course I'm like most people, I'm making it up as I go along. I mean, one of the things that became clear to me, and just dwelling on your previous question at the moment, one of the places I reach out when I have questions is another entrepreneurs group called the Alternative Board, and that's been really good for me. And they drill into us how important it is to get your work-life balance. Almost every business problem that comes up, they go, "What's this going to do about your work-life balance?" And this has been really important. So my journey really started 4 years ago. I told my business partner 4 years ago that I had a 6-year plan to exit the business, and it terrified him. It did. I mean, for about 3 of those 4 years, he was running around like a headless chicken, working out what that was going to mean for him. But, you've got to take the crutch away sometimes. My realization was that, my daughter's growing up. I'm not spending as much time with my wife, who I really like, and she's sitting here in the audience here. And I actually genuinely enjoy her company, and it really pisses me off. And that was one of the realizations. My career, has been, I've had a fantastic career. I've had a 7 million quid marketing budget, and I've travelled the world in various guides. I had a fantastic time, and I hate it when I'm away from home. And that became more and more acute. So I realised, that I wanted to spend more time, with my wife, my family, my interests and my hobbies, and take back control of my life, not have my business control me. And so I set out on this journey, and I tried a couple of times to wind my activities in the business down, get down to the point where I was working 3 days a week. That was my objective. And every time the business fell on its face or something came up, and I'd have to step fully back in and take it on. But we've learned through those processes what it feels like for me not to be the crutch in the business. And Taryn has picked that up, and we've put some new management structures in. So what it looks like for me is brilliant. I get to do all the things I love doing in the business. So retirement for me is not about not working, because I love what I do. It's about doing only the things that I like doing. So I'm really good with clients, and I love talking to clients, and I'm going to continue to work with a handful of clients, because they're my mates. They might run £1 million businesses or £10 million businesses, but they're my mates, and so I want to hang out with them. I love innovation. I created the market that my company has benefited from. We had this brilliant idea 10 years ago that we ought to create an out-of-the-box intranet. It's gone through multiple evolutions. There are 85 competitors in that market now. We were the first. So we disrupted the market. I am on the point of disrupting it again. I'm going to put all those 85 companies either out of business or make them grow up, because I love to innovate. And so I get to do time doing that and not looking after accounts or HR or, excuse me, or all of the other things that actually just irritate me. I have the luxury now of stepping back and going, not my problem anymore. You guys can do that. The management team can but I can do brilliant things in the things where I'm brilliant. And that's what it looks like. But I also get some time off. So, I have a second business. I'm spending some time on that other business just to get that one moving forward to a nicer state. But I'm playing more guitar. I'm spending more time on my narrowboat. And after 10 years, I bought myself an Aston Martin. I'm a big petrol head, and literally, the day I started the company, I said, this company will buy me an Aston Martin at some point. And in February of this year, I bought that, and we came in it tonight, and it was glorious.
Come on,
Just
guys,
glorious.
let's go a round of applause for that.
So I get to live life to the full. And, whether that's inside the company, with my family, with my toys and hobbies, it doesn't matter. I have the freedom of choice now, which I didn't have for the last 10 years, and that's kind of a great place to be.
Absolutely. And I think, again, hats off to you and everything that you built in that kind of area, because obviously I saw the infancy of some of those ideas when we worked with things like SharePoint in the healthcare industry back in the day, and then just seeing how you have taken that and made it grow up as a solution and work for so many people has just been fabulous.
Yeah, thank you.
So that's really good. And I'm looking forward to seeing the new innovations as they come ahead as well.
I can't tell you about those today,
No?
but I will.
No. I wasn't going to ask. I knew you'd share when you're ready.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Cheryl feels a lot more relaxed now that you've got the F word out of the way already.
Oh, I thought the HR word.
Fabulous.
I'm on now.
You're on now, you know. So thinking then about what our kind of plans are with moving forwards and what's kind of our next step in our businesses or what we're aiming towards. So for you, Cheryl, where are you taking the WISE Foundation?
What an interesting question. I've got a number of WISE members in the audience, so they're like, yeah, where were we going? It is a little bit of, I've had a realisation myself this year, I can't actually do it all on my own, which is interesting because that's our slogan. Hashtag actually do what you teach. So we're now training new trainers up. So we've kind of gone a little bit, because we could have gone like big and gone into big hotels, big venues, with lots of clients, but we're kind of going against the market. And so we do events at my home. It's about personal development. It's about finding your why. It's about, using that gut instinct that you talk about, or the intuition. And I want to be able to see, along with Marion, the whites of our clients' eyes, really. I don't want to see just a mass of people. I can do that standing on a stage to share the message initially. And so what we're doing is we're training new people, training new counsellors, so that they can then replicate that in their areas of the country, the world, etc. It's a big plan. It's probably a 10-year plan, to be fair. But we're at the beginning of that journey. So now we know we've got a strategy, a solution. I've got to kind of work out what the unicorn does. I'm not really quite sure if I can package that up. But we can teach other people to have fun, so that's the main thing. So so now it's about being able to make it into a business that is franchisable or licensed, and then really what I'm going to do is, not on the scale of what you're doing, but I just want to be on stage and speak and share a message to help other people, because I don't want people to wait to be 48, 50 like I was before realising that actually you do have a choice and you can be happy, but ultimately it does start with you, so you have to want to do that. So it's kind of two ways. I'm going to do what I really, really love, which gives me what I call my ready Brett glow. But at the same time, we'll still continue the business, but we'll step back and maybe become a celebrity guest, you know what I mean, for one day of the programme or something like that. Yeah.
Brilliant. Excellent. We're all excited to see how that develops going forward, and obviously wish you all the best of luck, and we'll be around on that journey.
Yeah,
that's good. And John, I'm going to change the question slightly, just because being with you for the last 10 years, and I've actually seen a lot of the changes that you've been through in your business anyway, and I think it'd be probably good to reflect back as well as reflect forward and think, over the last 10 years, what have been some of those kind of key moments when you've known things needed to change and the kind of the results of those changes, and then think about how is it going to move forwards?
I think the biggest, the first big change was when I first started the firm in the year 2000. Everything was going brilliantly for the sort of first year or so, and then I gradually just started falling out with clients, and it was always their fault. You see, they'd done something, they didn't understand, or they they had false expectations or whatever. And then I just gradually came to understand that there was a common theme to all of these fallouts, and it was me. So I think it was 2003, I did a personal coaching program, and I went to see this lady, and I said, look, I'm falling out with my clients continuously. In fact, I'm falling out with everybody. And so the biggest change for me is that it was that journey of self-awareness. And I read Stephen Covey's 7 Habits, and it completely changed my life overnight. That was a really big change. That's when I learned about self-awareness, and I learned about the power of books as well. A lot of people turn their noses up at business books, that kind of thing, but it's nuts to go out and reinvent the wheel, and just people have been making the same mistakes that we make in business for decades and decades. So learn from that, and don't make the same mistakes yourself. You don't have to. That was the biggest change for me. I guess I've had some difficulties. I had a near-fatal car crash in 2004, and I was off work for about 2 years, and then back part-time for a couple of years. And I got back to work in December 2007, so then a few months later, the world went into recession. I had a lot of clients in construction, recruitment, and bars. So that was fab. 48% of the client base went into liquidation over the next 2 years. So, all credit to you, my friend, that you're still here. I think that then was the next real big thing for me was having the confidence to get the right team. Don't employ an accounting technician on 20 grand when you really need a qualified chartered tax practitioner on 35 grand. You may not have the money, but you've got to look at it as an investment. Excuse me. And I think that's aside from that self-awareness and operating above the line, surround yourself with the best people. Never shortchange your business. I see it in so many, it's a disease in some businesses, especially the hospitality industry. I've got clients that have opened magnificent bars and restaurants, and they'll drop £250,000 on the bar. And then it comes down to the chef, and like, oh yeah, well, let's just get someone from catering college on 18 grand a year. And then they wonder why nobody goes back. That you've got to surround yourself with the very best people. Don't go for the cheapest accountant. Don't go for the cheapest lawyer. Don't get the cheapest web designer. Don't do any of that. Make sure you invest properly, because you will get a good return. It's about having the right people in the right seats, on the right bus, as someone famously said. I think that's the second biggest thing in terms of success, was the realization that I would just employ the very best people that I could. And then from I guess an external perspective, something that hit us, you very rarely use accountant and revolution in the same sentence. But what happened with technology around about 2010 completely changed things for us as business advisors, because you were given a budget in the past to look after your client. That might be a couple of grand or whatever. Some of you guys will be in business and you'll have accountants. And that money was spent purely just on doing the compliance work. The VAT, the pay-as-you-earn, the corporation tax, all that sort of stuff. When cloud accounting revolution happened, it's allowed us actually to focus a lot more on doing what we're qualified to do, which is to help people grow the businesses and make them a success. That's been an enormous change, and it will continue to change. When open banking comes in the next year or so, there's going to be that's going to continue that revolution that's happened. For us as a business, the compliance work has become a minimal aspect of what we do, and the future of my business as accountants and business advisors is one of continuous audit through automation. If you've got your technology on the cloud, you've got integration with other programs, you're going to get automation. You get rid of the amount of human involvement in it, and you typically save in 60 to 70% of your time. You'll have dynamic information. bank information going straight into your software, supplier invoices going straight into your software, not being posted by a bookkeeper. And therefore, you'll have this dynamic, real-time information like continuous audit. And your year-end accounts will be relevant because the information you have on your dashboard will be just as accurate as the set of accounts that your accountant gives you at the end of the year. But people are always going to need good tax advice. So we've got Mark Overend, as you know, who heads up that department. They're going to need troubleshooting. So you've got someone like me that's got a few scars on my back, and I'm the guy that you want in the trenches when the shit hits the fan. I'll do the S word. And you need good strategic advice, and that's where our new partner Andrew Hartley comes in. So that's the future for Ascentis. The compliance workers will go. It's what accountants always did. That's why accountants are always associated with being so bloody boring. But technology has changed all of that, and only 30% of firms are doing it now. But eventually, they all will. For me, well, I'll just pass it on to the next generation coming through. And if I could be in your position in 5 years' time, then I'd be a very happy man.
So we're expecting you to turn up in an Aston Martin in 5 years. Like the aspiration there. Excellent. But it's interesting when you kind of look at that journey and kind of where you've gone and where you're going to go. Technology has obviously featured quite heavily in that path over the last 20 years. So thinking about that, and obviously with yourself, Simon, you've got this great innovation drive, and you've like taken that kind of technology view. So, Cheryl, when we think about technology from a Find Your Why perspective, what kind of ideas can we use to help propel your business forwards?
I think for us, we made a decision that one of the ways that we grow the business is through the membership, the basic membership that allows people who don't have a lot of money to still get some help. And so that really is the automated part. So we just recently invested in a new ClickFunnels type of process where we'll sell on the back of buying. So someone will come along, get a free program, then they'll be able to go to the membership because we're going to give them value there. They'll trial it for 14 days, and then if they like it, they'll stay. Kind of like the gym membership, except we hope that they will get some benefit. Rather than dabbling and not turning up at the events. And we're still very small, so we can see when people don't do it. So we'll send them little reminders. I'd rather say to somebody, use this or fucking cancel I don't need your fucking £9.99. I want to help you to change your life. The £9.99 can come after, you know what I mean? So there's definitely automation there. And again, online programs that people just don't look at the videos. Yes, I'm looking at you. You haven't looked at the videos. I know you're in the audience, but that's okay because you come to a live event. So that's all right. So that's where technology will come through. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll get a what's it called when you don't have to turn up? A hologram. Then I can't actually get told off for swearing. I was a bit worried because you did the F word, you did the S word, and I'm kind of thinking, what am I left with? But I have got my nephew in the audience, so we're not going there, are we? So technology in that way, so we can help more people. It's definitely a low cost, high number at the beginning, which means that we can then concentrate on the people one-to-one. I think that's probably as much as I actually know at this stage of where we are.
That's fine. I think, and again, it's nice to hear you've got that very people-centric view to it anyway. I think that's a kind of a theme that's coming through from all the conversations. It's almost like keeping the person you're trying to serve in mind and what they're looking for, while at the same time trying to keep your business going. So I do like that kind of theme coming through with what you're saying.
I've got another thing there, which is like, don't have customers that you don't like. Because at the beginning of any business, there's a danger that you say, I'll just take that business, or I'll just take that business because it's the money and that's all you're looking for. The money comes afterwards. It doesn't come first. Really love what you do, love your clients, really want to help them, really want to serve them. Do what you love, do what puts a smile on your face, and if it doesn't, then shut the fucking business and go elsewhere. Sorry, I'm off now, you see. You get me licensed, didn't you? And that's my philosophy, because life's too short, isn't it, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
And mine's not an Aston Martin, mine's just another pair of shoes. But I mean, quite frankly,
Cost as much.
that'll do. Yeah, they cost as much. Yeah. But whatever it is, like I agree, reward yourself, reward your clients when you can. They are friends ultimately at the end of the day. And the same with your team, really. That's it.
Brilliant, excellent. And I think, again, that's a very similar theme from what you said, Simon, with Gaz. You do see your clients as friends. And I certainly know from personal experience working with yourself, John, you've got a very similar kind of attitude and ethos in it's all around helping people. So that's really good. So then thinking about taking yourself into 5 years' time. So 5 years' time, you said you want to be in Simon's position, John. What does that actually mean when you look at that?
I think that I recognise that there's a lot of things in the business that I'm not as good as I used to be, and I've got other people doing that, and I think eventually that'll happen to your whole skill set at some point. It's natural that I'll exit the business for me. I'm aiming for 5 years' time. That's when I'd like to go. And I'm repeating myself, but I've got to get somebody. I've got to get the very best people to come in and replace what I do. I guess in 5 years' time, then Lee, who's one of the partners, he'll have another 5 years' experience, so he'll be able to step into my shoes in that kind of troubleshooting role that I have. I'd still like to have some kind of involvement in the business, just to keep the old grey matter going. But I'll be 55 in 5 years' time, and I'd always promised myself I'd go at 45. Didn't quite work out, but 55 hopefully I'll go then. For me, it's an exit, it's a business sale, it's a management buyout, which is always the best way to sell your business, because you're usually guaranteed to get paid. I hope I've answered the question in the right way.
No, I think you have. It gives us a very clear idea of where you're going. And so once you've
You need to find another accountant in 5 years' time. Is that what you're thinking?
No, because I know Mark will still be there. I know
Of course he will, yeah.
I know
They're
you'll
great.
You'll not leave it in a bad place, to be frank. And if you do, I'll find out where you live. So it's no problem. But no, I'm sure it'll all be good. So for you personally, though, after you've actually exited the business, what's kind of like your plan for 5 years? Because I know you do so many other things as well.
I was a keen rugby player when I was younger, and I'm the treasurer of Ilkley Rugby Club. I'm a massive foodie. I've got a wine import business that I get to go out to Rioja or Tuscany every now and again. So I'll get more involved in that. I'm in a band which we've reformed recently. It's a Clash tribute band, if you like the Clash. So I'll do more of that, and I just love being at home as well. I've got a wood-fired pizza oven, and as I say, I'm mad on food and drink, and spend more time at home. I never understand these people that win the lottery and say I'm going back to work. I can fill my day no problem without working. I know we're here to celebrate business, but I've got a load of stuff I could do easily. So it's I still continue with some of my voluntary roles. I'm treasurer of the Ilkley Bid, and I'm treasurer of the Friends of King's Hall, which is our local Victorian theatre and that kind of thing. So I'll keep my arm in a little bit with that. That'll probably take up maybe a day a week, and the rest of it, I've looked at buying a narrow boat. I've read a book on it recently called Living on a Narrow Boat, and I'm from Whitby originally. I'd love to get a cottage there and just fill my life up doing things like that. I've got a lot I could do. I'm not going to be, scratching my head thinking, what shall I do with all this time? Got a shitload I want to get through. Yeah, big bucket list.
Fabulous. Excellent. That's really nice to hear. And it's like for yourself, Simon, obviously you're already on like a 3-year plan now. What does 5 years look like for you?
I think in 5 years, both Chris and I will not be working for anybody in particular. I probably will still do occasional consulting engagements because it's interesting and it's fun. I'm writing a bit, not books like you are, but I'm an occasional contributor to things like PC Pro. So, a bit more of that. It's just fun. It helps, it keeps me engaged in the technologies and, the marketplace and those changes, which I love. And actually, I guess there's just more hobbies, more travel, more all the other stuff that, that's had to be put to one side. I think I had 2 weeks off in June, 2 separate holidays in June already, which was great. And what it's reminded me is how much fun you can have when you're not working. You know, so I can certainly see us, doing a lot more travel. I've travelled the world. I had an international marketing career. It was very high power. It was brilliant, great fun, and yet I've maybe been to 8%, 12% of the countries in the world. And I haven't been to all of the parts of the country, all those countries yet. They've got so much more than just the hotel or the city that I got to visit. So, loads more of that is important. And I need to get much better at jazz guitar. I'm a damn fine rhythm guitarist, but my jazz playing is rubbish. So that needs to be sorted. And I've got my first lesson on Wednesday.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Looking forward to listening to that. Was that still with Trip Manhattan?
Trip Manhattan folded a while ago, but I have a copy of the album if anyone wants it. £5 in the foyer.
Fabulous. Always an opportunity. Yeah, definitely. And Cheryl, so I don't think you've had any plans that we've talked about with regards to retiring anything in 5 years.
I'm never retiring. I'm going to be the oldest women swearing speaker on the circuit. I'm going to be, like the cat lady, but without the cats. Yeah, you thought there was a joke coming there, didn't you? No, it's okay. I'm keeping it clean. I'm just going to be one of those really eccentric old women that talk about sex and it's really uncomfortable or something like that. I don't know. I don't.
You're doing it wrong.
Yeah, I'm doing it wrong. Yeah. I never do it wrong, actually. Just so you know. I've had 4 husbands. I've had a lot of practice.
Yeah, I bow to your superior.
Yeah. I'm older. I'm not mentioning the age, by the way. In 5 years' time, I'll be over 60. Though. I don't really see. I don't know. I'm sure it may change, but at the moment, I just love what I do so much that it is my life, and it is my hobby, and it is what I do, what I love. And people say to me, what are your hobbies? And I'm like, well, that's what I'm doing. That's what my hobbies are. But on a serious note, I probably will get more involved in children's education. I think that by then, hopefully, some fucker will have woken up and realised that we're not in the industrial revolution anymore. Mm-hmm. So we don't have to train people to wear a uniform, stand on a conveyor belt and say yes. And I'm learning that more because Leon and Gemma, we live together now. So when Leon gets his correction, which he's just told me about, we've got little planner corrections. It seems to be for such petty things. I sort of agree with it's a bit of a shame, really, that they have this. And we've been talking about property investing, and he knows about the property portfolio that he'll take over when I'm dead after his mother's dead. He did smile at that stage, so I'm not quite sure whether or not I might not be here in 5 minutes, let alone 5 years. But just to educate, the kids that they can do that. So I think that's probably where it will go. And also, interesting how you said about gut instinct and intuition. Part of what we do is to take people out of their head and into their body and really train, or just share with people that there is a different way of living. I mean, that's pretty much. But I won't be doing that from some deck chair in wherever. I'll be doing that, in your face. I don't see myself retiring at all. I quite like being busy. It's a good distraction. What can I say?
Fantastic. So watch out for fallen pianos then, by the sound of things.
Yeah, exactly. What about you, Martin? What are you going to do in 5 years' time?
Oh, I was wondering when one of you were going to take the opportunity to ask a question.
Be rude not to.
Absolutely, I knew it would be you. So my plan was always to learn how to run a business. So I spent 5 years learning how to run a business, and then 5 years in actually taking that business somewhere. And I think the latter 5 years has taken me a little bit longer to try and realise. But I think I have got to the point now where I've got a lot more clarity. And I understand how to run a business. So certainly my next 5 years is going to be really driving hard on helping other people achieve their aspirations, specifically around how do they become leaders in this digital age, so they can do things that they never thought they would be able to do, and really transform their own organisations and their businesses to take advantage of the digital revolution that is going on. And then also helping small businesses being able to survive and thrive. Because at the end of the day, it's great having the inspiration to basically be able to go out and do something and then have the motivation to actually go out and set a business up. But then you kind of hit that thing of perspiration, because if you don't, you'll hit desperation. And for me, I want to help them with that perspiration bit, give them some of the tools and the talent. Trying to remember who it was who said, effectively, if you've got skills and you've got clients who want to buy from you, and you've got drive and motivation, you can make anything work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if there's so many people out there that clearly have drive and motivation, they can talk to people, so it's just really making sure they've got the skills to be able to do that. That's my dream over the next 5 years. That's what I'm aspiring to, and that's what I'm going to put my drive into.
I'm sure I speak on behalf of everybody else here. I don't know if you've got any more questions, but I'm ending this now. Have you noticed?
I haven't, and I was going to do the same thing.
So I think that everybody in the room, you know, I mean, the one thing that I've known about you in the short time, I've not known you as long as these guys have, but you're one of the most helpful people I've ever met in my life. You know, certainly, I can't think of anybody else who's more helpful, who will put themselves, you know, at the back of the queue to help other people. But as I continually say, sorry, and not but, everything before but's bullshit, Carol knows that. And I also hope that you will find some time for you. I know you're doing your Keep Fit regime.
Oh, yes.
5 a.m. in the morning, oh my God, I didn't even realise there was 2 5 a.m s, but anyway. To be more healthy, and you've got a great family, and I think everybody here would just join me in welcoming and congratulating you on 10 years, and here's to the next 10 years for Martin.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'd like to also say thank you very much as well for John Oddie, Simon Hudson and Cheryl Chapman for sharing their time and expertise with us all. So thank you very much.
Nice to meet you. We need to...
And here on the channel, we're looking at how we can share a whole variety of tips, hints, sound bites, and extras of things that we have found we use on a weekly, daily, even hourly basis. So click the subscribe button now so you don't miss out.